what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it.
Hey, Taylor, so you covered the press conferences yesterday. Did you go to practice at all? Okay, so the after practice yesterday, Garrett Nussmeier, Harold Perkins, Ashton Stamps, and Garrett Dellinger all met with the media. Let's start with Garrett Nussmeier. We're going to do a Nuss 2 here on the difference knowing that he is now the guy as opposed to, a backup at every other year during his career.
I mean, obviously there's a different dynamic going from being a backup to the starter. But, I feel like, it's just taking the same approach that I've always taken. Just trying to lead, be vocal, be an uplifting spirit, keep the guys going. It gets tough out there, it gets hot out there. We just got to push through, focus on our work and focus on our job. Coach Sloan's talking a lot about being intentional with everything we do and having integrity and being focused. Locked in focus is something he says all the time. So that's been the biggest thing for us, is just staying focused on our jobs, staying focused on our tasks and moving as one.
Some good kind of mantra. I don't know if mantra's the right word. Maybe like goals, platitudes, something like that. Like I like hearing these like moving as one, staying focused on the goal, right? These are things that every single person can keep in the back of their mind in order to keep them at the top of the mind and achieve them there. Let's get to here is Garrett's reaction to Nick Saban saying he might be the dark horse QB in the SEC.
It meant a lot to me. I got to spend some time around Coach Saban, when I was really, really young. My dad was at Alabama. I ran into him a couple times in the building, getting to talk to him and kind of just see how he interacted with his players. I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from that culture, at a very young age. So it meant a lot to me for him to say something like that. I thought it was really, really cool. As far as, do I like being underrated? I really don't care. I'm just focused on doing my job, being the best I can for LSU. That's what matters to me. So
I'll tell you what, dude, the kid's got he's got the answers down. He's got the answers down. These are all very solid, exactly what you want to hear out of your quarterback. It's going to be a pretty nice feeling, Jake, to have college football's czar, basically the God Emperor, utter your name.
Oh, for sure it does. Yeah. And like in his first year as an analyst and him to pick you out and say that he thinks that you can be really good in the conference, and he saw what really good looked like last year with LSU's offense. Absolutely. It's a good thing. And then kind of going back to that first answer, he stayed engaged when he wasn't the guy, which I think is very important because we've both played with backup quarterbacks that didn't stay engaged. And then when they became the starter, it started over a whole new process instead of picking up where you left off. Like Flynn always did a good job of staying engaged, even though he wasn't the starting quarterback. He was boys with all of us. He had the ear of the team, even though he wasn't the starter. And so when he became the starter, it's like he had been there. It wasn't that big of a deal. But we've all played with guys that when they weren't the guy, they kind of were in the shadows. They weren't out in front and not even sulking about not playing, but somewhat, being like, I'm not playing anyway, so I'm not going to do that. Well, he wasn't that. I mean, he was always the first guy over celebrating with Jaden, and you could tell like he was involved in the game plan. And I think that goes a long way as far as you don't have to hit reset and start over with him being the guy because they're like, yeah, he's always been here.
So one thing that I think people really look, this entire season hinges on defensive improvement, right? I don't think that's an exaggeration. So what is the quarterback that is, went against last year's defense every day and now is going against this year's defense every day? What does he have to say about the improvement or lack thereof?
They've done an unbelievable job. The biggest thing, I think, is the leadership that has grown from that side of the ball. They've really stepped up. They've challenged me and they've challenged our offense a lot this camp, and that's good. That's what we wanted. There are mistakes that have been made and learning opportunities because of how good they've played. And so that's really all you can ask for as a quarterback is to be challenged. And so, obviously, when you have a defense as talented, I feel like, as we do, and I think, people will have to learn to put some respect on our defense. And I think they're going to show that with the swag and the physicality that they're playing with. I think it starts with Coach Baker. He's came in and his scheme, the complexity of it, and the swagger that he has himself that bleeds into his players. And so I think they're going to be a really good unit this year. I think y'all will see that soon.
I'm very excited for the Blake Baker scheme. That is, I love listening to Blake Baker talk about, engineering matchups and thinking about how he's going to employ a weapon, a weapon like Harold Perkins Jr. But I love hearing the words physicality and swag when it comes to this LSU defense, because maybe that's been the most disappointing part. LSU used to feel like a literal big cat stalking the jungle when it came to defense, like a tiger in its prime, right? Powerful, scary, killed more humans than any other animal since the 1800s. But these last couple of years, they felt really just feckless. It's like a kitten, or maybe like an old tiger whose teeth have been removed. Just completely opposite of what it was for about a decade. So
like a house cat.
Yeah, just recapture some of the danger. Like make people just a little bit of fear in the hearts, instead of last year where it was basically people's eyes are getting wide with opportunity when looking at you. So look, are you gonna give up busted coverages? Absolutely. You're gonna be perfect? No, I don't think you're gonna be one of the most dominant defenses. Again, my goal is top 40, but if nothing else, just carry yourself with a little aggression, a little confidence once again.
Yeah, and I caught a little bit of a clip where Hunt was talking about how the receivers were always open, the defense wasn't anywhere to be seen. You have to also remember, this offense, yes, it's a new set of coordinators, but it's also the same offense. It's the same verbiage. It's the same everything. You have same offensive line. You have receivers that have been in these concepts. You have a quarterback that's been in these concepts, right? Even the guys that aren't returning starters have been in this offense. They know the verbiage. They know the code words. They know all of those things. And so, the defense is still continuing to learn those things. And, of course, the offense is going to be ahead of where the defense is. Now, the defense has to play catch-up and get to a point on September the 1st where they're ready to go, and you're starting to hear that. You're starting quick, because you didn't hear a lot of it at the beginning of camp, but now you're starting to hear, hey, defense won this drill. Hey, now defense won the day. Maybe the defense can put 2 days together where they win the day. That's starting to come, and that's because now they're getting the repetitions that the offense has already had coming into training camp.
And if the defense is starting to improve, starting to win a day here, a day there, maybe stack couple, like you said, Jake, secondary is going to be somewhere where a lot of the improvement has to take place. Here's Ashton Stamps 6, Alondra. And this is Stamps talking about how Coach Raymond has come in and helped them to kind of refine their technique.
So, for example, the play might go to the opposite side of the field, and, I might get beat deep on the go route, but they don't throw it. The quarterback don't see it. So he's like, what if the quarterback does throw it? That's a touchdown. That's not good. So it's just little things like that. That really helped me. That's really helping me going into the season, because, you just got to be perfect with everything. Everything, you're not going to be perfect, but your mindset is to be perfect.
And here's Stamps on the entire secondary taking some strides in this preseason camp.
I feel like we've taken a lot of strides. So, we don't really focus on last year. We just, we moved on to a different year. It's a different mindset. It's year 3. So, what we're trying to chase. So, we just building that brotherhood. We becoming more of a brotherhood and just using that, pushing each other. If one day somebody down, we're going to bring a brother up. That's all it is.
And here's Ashton Stamps on how him, in his own experience, how him starting as a freshman last year has helped him into this offseason.
4 starts is actually, in the SEC, that's a lot of games, 4 starts. So most of them, majority of them was SEC games, so just being able to feel that presence, feel the atmosphere, seeing how fast the game go, is the second year should be way easier for me. I got a lot of confidence going into this season, different from last year, but it's not about last year, it's just about this year and focusing on the next couple of practices to get us ready for the season.
Yeah, the game slowing down is how it feels when you go from year 1 of year 2 to starting, and then even to year 3. But again, there's no bigger jump than year 1 to 2. And Ashton Stamps is a guaranteed starter, right? He is a lock-it, guaranteed one of your starting cornerbacks. You certainly hope that someone can emerge and maybe allow Sage Ryan to go back to safety. But for now, if LSU is going to accomplish its goals, by season's end, Ashton Stamps will have to be a guy that we're talking about and feel very good about.
Yeah, and it's somebody that training camp last year, I think it was Taylor who was talking about him, and we were talking about other people, and he bring up his name.
Yeah.
And so, he has been on the scene since he's really been here. He wasn't the most heralded recruit coming in, but he didn't care about that. He came in and kind of made a name for himself. And that growth from year 1 to year 2 is big. And year 1, I know for me as a starter, I'm a freshman in the swamp going the wrong way. And year 2, you're like, okay, I know everything inside and out. And so you can play with a better confidence. You can play faster because you actually know exactly what you're doing. A lot of times you know what everybody else around you is doing. When you're a freshman, you learn just my responsibility. What am I supposed to do on this play? And in football, you can't really live like that. Like as a center, you had to learn what both guards were doing. It mattered to you. You had to know where the back was going to go in protection. You learn those things as you get older. So he's a guy that LSU is certainly going to count on, and it is what it is as far as the depth of the defense. Like on offense, there's a couple of spots where you could take an injury and still be okay. You don't want injuries, but you could take one. If you had one at running back, okay, well, not great. We can find a way. If you had one at receiver, not great, but we can find a way. Over on the defense, it's not that way. We know that, right? They've tried to recruit that depth in this class and the next class, and you've got a lot of young, talented players, but it's going to come down to them staying healthy as well because, like, just think, I am not even say his name, a versatile player on defense that plays a lot of different positions. Like, if he goes down, it's like that's 3 spots that he kind of covers up for, and, like, how do you make up for that? So until they
you got to have some injury luck on defense.
Yes, they're without question, and they've got, the resources and recruiting where they want them right now, and they've got it where next year's class, like all that's going to pay dividends. But like right now, you're incredibly thin in a couple of positions. And so as much as we're talking about scheme, as much as we're talking about demeanor and talent, all that, yes. But the health of the defense for me is going to be maybe the most important thing all year long.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.